Jackson Radio Show.
We're worried for the markets once again, as you and I have repeated so many times, and we gather on days like this.
But it's not.
It's not, right? So could the markets live with not seeing it this year, tax cuts this year?
Well, I try and look at things through a different lens. I look at the positive price performance, not the politics of what's happening. So let's look at how far the markets have come. And, you know, that's a cherry on top if we can get some of these legislative items done. But we're this far along, regardless of what's happened and the nonsense that's happened out of Washington, D.C. Let's remember this first 6 months, we talked at 20K, now we're at 22K in the Dow. That's 10% in 6 months. But if you compare that to the previous administration, they moved 20% in the first 6 months.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. Here's the Kevin Jackson Show. So I just wanted to stop that clip. That's a Cavuto questioning somebody on what's been going on here. And I want you to understand what just happened in that bit of the exchange. So Cavuto says you got to look at this stock market. You got to look at what's going on here. And, you know, there's a reason to be exuberant. And the guy goes, yeah, you know, it's moved 10% in the first 6 months, the market. But remember, with Obama, it moved 20%. And what he's trying to tell you is that Obama was doing great. The economy was moving forward, etc. What he's not telling you is two things. One, Obama was printing money to move the stock market, number one. And number two, the market was much lower. Remember when George Bush gave the helm over to that, the stock market had crashed. It was down into I don't remember the number, but it was like 7,000. It had gone so far down. It was, I don't remember. Somebody can remember the number. So to gain 20% in the first 6 months then was no big deal. When Donald Trump took over, the market was at 20,000. Now it's at 22. That is a huge differential to gain 10% on a market that's that big. And when I keep coming back to, and I want everybody to understand this, is Donald Trump's doing this while fending off the left. So what else has happened? See, and this is why I keep telling you, it doesn't matter what they do. What matters are results. Here's the next thing that's happened. Donald Trump, they come out and they say, we estimate there's going to be 183,000 new jobs. Now that's 175,000 is what it takes for equilibrium. So he would be creating jobs. And then the real report comes out and they say, guess what? We created 209,000 jobs. So we're 26,000 over what we thought we were going to create. Now let me tell you what's going to happen next. That was the guess. 183. That was we predict. These are the actuals at 209. They'll come back in a week or two and they'll say it was better than we thought. It was 239. And that's what's going to happen, because that's what's been happening with Trump all along. And meanwhile, the left want to convince you that he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. Folks, I'm telling you, the reason why I sleep so good at night is I know where we're headed. And I would look, I don't want to go into my management consulting experience, but I'm just telling you, if you do things right in the U.S. economy and you let things do what they're supposed to do by the book, and let people succeed where success is warranted and fail where failure is warranted, people figure out how to become productive. That's the one thing Americans can do. We've learned how to hustle. Now, we're losing that to some degree. And the reason why, to be honest with you, I don't know why these third world countries haven't gotten it. Because they've had people I do know the answer, and I'm going to give it to you in a second, but they've been in a struggle, and they've been in a struggle for a long time. And you would think, having struggled for so long, wouldn't you kind of go, I think, I'll put it to you this way. When I was a young kid and I grew up and it was a struggle, I wanted to get around the struggle. If you had said to me, Kevin, you got to walk 2 miles and get water every day, I would be thinking about every day? Okay. I'm going to do it the first few days, and I'm going to be, every time I would be walking back in that hot Texas sun, I'd be going, we're going to figure out an easier way around this. And I'd probably start looking at well digging equipment. I don't know what my answer would be, but I ain't going to walk every day and go get you hundreds of gallons of water. It just isn't going to happen. I'm going to solve my problem. So the question becomes, well, why don't these communities solve their problems that way? And I can tell you why. They don't think like we do. They don't see that you can make things easier. I use this analogy a lot, but it's truly one of these things where you get it. When I was a kid, the water gun I had shot a straight little beam, almost laser-like, and it would shoot at about 6 to 8 feet. And that was as long as you had a decent amount of water in it. But of course, as soon as the water level got too low, it would run out. And there would always be water left in the reservoir, which would make you mad because the little thing didn't go get all the water. And so you actually had bullets in the gun you couldn't fire. But that was the water gun we all grew up with. And I'm talking about we had those water guns for decades. There was no ingenuity in the water gun industry. And then this brother who, and I heard him tell a story. He said, man, I had watched this little water gun when I grew up, and it never changed. And I thought to myself, this is nonsense. We could come up with something better. And he made the Super Soaker. And so you fire that thing and shoo, 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 shoo. I mean, it would shoot a line of water on a rope that could put your eye out. These things are practically dangerous. And man, we would have Super Soaker fights. I remember one of my friends, Brad, has like 10 of these guns. You could have an all-out war. And we did. And it was fun. And then I noticed that not only did the Super Soaker come out, there are 50 different kinds of them, all getting around the patent of the guy who came out with the original one. So you got Super Soakers you pump. You got Super Soakers that are, handheld. And I mean, I don't know all the technology of the Super Soaker. I'm sure there's some that got turbos. You do your turbocharge that thing. So see, that's American ingenuity. That's a kid who became an adult, who reflected on his childhood and said, I could do something better. And he does it. Then all around the periphery of him, somebody else goes, let's do something better. And all these guys become multimillionaires because they come up with an idea that we embrace. But meanwhile, in the third world nation, there's a guy still carrying buckets of water on sticks, on like a pole strapped on his shoulders, and he's walking that water back to the camp where somebody boils it or whatever. I don't know what they do. Maybe they cook in it. But the point is, they're still doing it the hard way. And I can tell you, there are many countries where just having running water is a luxury. And they, because the ingenuity, don't be looking at me like I'm crazy. The ingenuity of Americans is second to none. I could talk to you about technology plays when I was selling tech, and I'd go into Compaq Computer or Dell Computer or whatever, and I was selling stuff, and it was state of the art. We were talking about how fast the microprocessor could go, and they were saying, well, we theorize the maximum speed of a microprocessor at 5 gigahertz or something like that. And now we've blown past it. 2 gigahertz, or the timing that needed to happen for this, that. Now, the Cray 1 supercomputer, that was the fastest computer on the planet. That thing is a boat anchor if there ever was one. Your phone, your smartphone is more powerful than the best supercomputer of the 1980s, possibly even the 1990s. Your stinking phone. Everything you can do with it, the technology that can be done with that phone is amazing. It is a spy gadget. It's all kinds of things. And you know where that annuity comes from? It's not coming from South Korea, even though it could. It's coming from people that work at Apple, that work in Silicon Valley. It comes from the imagination of Americans. Now, I'm not trying to tell you folks that these other nations are slackers and they're no good at things. What I'm telling you is when you've lived under the bosom of freedom for so long, your mind is programmed differently. And ours are programmed differently than anybody else's. And now you're about to see a renaissance of that by way of Donald Trump. And the only way that the left can destroy that is they have to destroy Trump. And if they destroy Trump, I think it was James Woods who said, if you destroy Trump, there will be so much hell to pay. If you think getting rid of Obama during his first term would have been, just crazy, try getting rid of Trump. And you have to be vocal about this. I'm vocal. If you try to get rid of Donald Trump, we will raise so much crap in this country. The left they will never win another election. It would be crazy for them. Get over yourselves. He is your president. I'm going to get into, we talked about the job numbers, but I want to get into some of the other leaks that are happening right now. Hopefully we'll get a chance when we come back. Keep it here.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.